About 2 acts of right-wing extremist violence in just 11 days. Let's turn to Jack Levin, the professor of criminology and sociology at Northeastern University, director of its Center on Violence and Conflict, and also the author of Why We Hate and Domestic Terrorism. Thank you for your time tonight, sir.
Certainly.
5 months, less than 5 months actually, into the presidency of this Democratic president, half white, half African-American, and a shooter opens fire in the National Holocaust Museum 11 days after an OB-GYN in Kansas is assassinated and his women's health clinic closes its doors, apparently for good. Is it a coincidence of timing that these attacks are happening now?
Oh, not at all. It seems to me that we are looking at a confluence of forces that come together to make a lot of people feel threatened. A bad economy, high unemployment rate, an unprecedented number of immigrants in the country. We're seeing an African-American president who has Jewish advisors and who just recently visited a concentration camp and was very critical of Holocaust deniers. You know, if you put all of these factors together, you see that there are lots of racists in the country who simply feel that they have to defend themselves, defend their racial identity against what they see as an attack that's coming from all of these forces that are working together.
Homeland Security, the secretary and the report that was in preparation long before she became a secretary warned of this kind of right-wing extremism under these circumstances 2 months ago. And yet Secretary Napolitano had to apologize for that report because of the outrage, the backlash among Republicans. In retrospect, not to suggest that she has been vindicated in some way, but why in the world did she apologize? This seems to have been the most prescient work done by this department since its founding.
Well, you know, I can't speak for her, and certainly this could have the political motivation. But let me point out something. First of all, it's not the ideology that comes from the right that causes these kinds of crimes. It's the name-calling. You know, these kinds of racists view blacks and Asians and Latinos as subhuman, as animals, and they see Jews as the children of Satan. They don't like Catholics, they don't like gays, they don't specialize. There's a whole bunch of people they regard as less than human and as influences that come from outside of our society. But let me also point out that it's not just the right, the extreme right, where we find this kind of anti-Semitism. There's also a new anti-Semitism that comes from the left, from progressives who blame Jews all over the world, even those who've never been to Israel, never been to the Middle East, support a Palestinian state, but they still get blamed for all of Israeli policies that they don't like. So now we've got anti-Semitism coming from both sides of the political spectrum.
Our reaction to this, I mean, I'm always happy when terrorism anywhere in the world does not cause all the terror it could theoretically cause. But take this sad reality and transform it into that hypothetical I suggested earlier. You know, all the facts are the same except that gunman's name was not Van Brun but Muhammad somebody. What might be happening in this country right now? We
might see an increase now, maybe even an epidemic of hate crimes. You know, there are lots of Arab Americans in this country who are prosperous and well-educated, and they have a stake in this country, and the last thing they want to do is blow it up. But if they're mistreated, and we decide that they're all a bunch of terrorists, and we treat them like that, we might actually create the monster that we're trying to ignore.
Are we underreacting to this thing today because it doesn't fit that profile of what terrorism has been defined by the government for the last 8 years?
Well, certainly we've been very concerned, as you know, to fight the war on terror, and we always see it as international, coming from the Middle East or Pakistan. What a lot of people don't realize is that the vast majority of terrorism since 9/11 has actually come from American citizens. It's domestic. It's not international. The vast majority. So first, let's make sure that we understand terrorism before we decide what to do about it.
Well said. Jack Levin, the author of Domestic Terrorism. Great thanks for your time tonight, sir.
Thank you.